Okay, hello and welcome to this part. So in this part of the video, kind of tour and working, just showing you how all my studio works, I'm just going to concentrate a little bit more on how I'm using the iPad. If you've watched the video on all the MIDI routing, you'll see at the end I kind of talked a bit about how I can sequence a synthesizer app off the iPad with the Electribe. Just going to take that just sort of a stage further. So I'm running two apps at the same time now, and I'm using, to do that, I'm using this app called Audio Bus, where we can have these different apps open at the same time. So all you do is you click on here to put your apps in, and then you can kind of stack them on top of each other. So at the moment I've got the Sunriser synth app, which is this one. And that one is receiving MIDI on channel 7. So what we're doing is in the utilities, you go to MIDI, and I've set it to channel 7. Okay, and I've basically just highlighted all the inputs, so everything's working on there. But it's actually coming in from the UM1. So I can play that app from the Electribe. I can also, which is pretty cool, I can also map the dials on here to the dials on here. So if I go to MIDI Learn in here, okay, and just tap on, this is the cutoff for the, just tap on that so it turns blue. That's the cutoff for the filter. If I come down here and turn the cutoff dial here, okay, it's going to map it. Is it that one? Yeah, it's going to map it to that, and then you can map those controls to it. So as you can see, as I'm now turning this, you can see, where is it? There we go, that dial is now turning. So obviously any of these buttons, any of these dials on the Electribe, if I'm not using the internal sounds, you know, all of these aren't really in any use. So I can map them to things on the iPad, and then you've got kind of hands-on control down here, which is pretty cool. So yeah, I've got oh, there you go. So that's changing it with the filter cutoff. Sorry, should be able to see that. Okay, so that's affecting the sound. And the great thing with Audio Bus is you've got this little kind of control thing at the side. So if I want to now switch over to Chord Gadget, I just press on it and then press the little arrow thing, and it's going to take me over to Gadget. Now at the moment I've just got the Berlin synth in. If I just click on that to open up the control panel, and then I've got the MIDI input is coming in on the UM1. If you can just focus on that. But I've got it so in the same way as the Sunriser one, but I've got this one set on channel 8. So if I take the Electribe over to channel 8, okay, that is now playing. As you can see, as I play, you can see the sound coming out of there. That's playing the Chord Gadget. So I can switch between the two. So I can sequence. So if I want to go over to the Sunriser app, it's on 7. So I can sequence something on that. If I then want to sequence on the Chord Gadget, it's going to do it from there as well, which is very cool. I've also got this set up so that Gadget will play if I press play. So I'm going to press play down here, okay, on the TR8, and okay, let's just put this on loop just here. It's going to play Gadget, okay, in time with everything else. So to do that, we just go into settings, and I've just got on the MIDI sync there. You see my settings there, it's just set up on internal. And for the MIDI input, you need that on advanced, so you can pick down here your MIDI inputs and outputs. So I've got even more possibilities there. So obviously I can sequence a load of stuff on here. Let's just put this a track in there. Okay, so it's got some drum stuff on it. So if I'm going to just turn everything down, except the iPad. So that's just the iPad playing. I've just got to loop that. Okay, so you can see that's playing. So if we bring, let's say, the TR8 volume up, okay, so that means I can now synchronize the iPad with all of this. So I've got all the sequencing capabilities of any apps I might want to use on here. I mean, Chord Gadget does pretty much everything you want. I mean, it's not a cheap app, but it is really good. and I can sequence all the hardware as well. Everything stays in time, so happy days on all of that. So for the next section then, we'll just look at how I might use the iPad for a live performance. Okay, so for a live sort of point of view, I wouldn't take all of this out live with me. I've worked out kind of recently. I just did like a half-hour set, which is I'll put a link to it in the description, which is on my channel. And I kind of worked out the basics of what I would need for live. I would take out whether I have the mini log, I'd have the MX1, I'd have the system one, all of this rack. So the launch control, the TB03, the MB33, and its distortion thing, the TR8. And the Electribe, which is kind of enough. You know, I don't necessarily need to fuff about with the Volcas and the other acidy things. And the way I kind of work my tracks are, there's a certain amount of it is, I take, like if there's a certain drum loop or a bass part, I will export that as a loop and I play those back in the Launchpad app. This is a great app because it will time stretch the loops for you in the same way that Ableton Live would. So I can basically play any of my tracks at any volume. Not any volume, you idiot, at any speed. And then I've got a lot of the drum parts then programmed in on the TR8, and I've got a lot of the stuff programmed in on the Electribe that's sequenced, and then I've got stuff sequenced on the TB03 as well. That way I've got all the separate elements of all of my songs. So I can basically just remix my songs live as I go along. So I can start with any point. I can make the songs as long or as short as I want. So if the audience is really feeling the vibe of a song, I can keep it going, drop things out, bring things in. If they're not liking it, I can get straight into the next song. And it kind of works a little bit like a DJ set, that it's a constant flow of music. Okay, I'm not going to just like play a song and talk in between. It's all about dancing. So it's kind of like a DJ set, but of my music. So what I thought I'd do is just kind of walk through how I would do one of my tracks and how I've got it set up, and we'll take it on from there. So the first thing is basically when I'm live, the iPad is the main, is giving out the MIDI clock. The only thing I don't like about the Launchpad app is it won't receive MIDI clock. It will only send MIDI clock. So for these clips here to play in time with my track, this has to be the master MIDI clock. So to do that, all the connections are as before. Okay. It's just over the USB MIDI interface. So what we need to do is we need to turn on MIDI sync. So basically what we do is just go back. We click on the tempo button up here. We choose MIDI sync and we're going to turn that on. And then basically destinations, I just check everything because it just seems to work that way. Okay. So now what will happen is when I press play on here, everything will start playing. Okay. So you can see the drums have started, the Electribe started, the Volcas and everything are going to start playing. Even the stuff that I don't take out with me will start playing. All I need to do is, if I'm going out to play live, is just take those out of the equation on the MIDI thing. It's just basically the setup as it was before, without those in it. So that means I've then got tempo control, to start that again, from the app. Okay, which is just this tap button here, so I can go faster. Okay, because most of my songs generally are between like 120 and 127 beats per minute. So some I might play slower than the original, some I play a bit faster, or I might kind of gradually build up the speed as I go through a set. What I can then do is from the launch control, let me just get that so it's working, that's fine. I can launch clips from here, okay, or from the launch control. So if I'm up on that top one there, so that top row there is now this row here. Okay, so let's just, because I'm doing this track perception, I'm going to just go through. Just wait for that to finish, because that's a one shot. Okay, so if I start with him playing, and then I've got, let's say I want to put like a percussion part in. A bit more percussion there. Okay, I've then got down here controls for volume of those and filters. So that row does the, if I remember rightly, is the volume for all of these clips on here, and this is the filters. then obviously basically all I would do is drop bits in and out with the mutes and the volumes. So if I want to bring that TB line back in, bring your drums back in. Okay, so let's drop a load of stuff out. So this is just this playing and the mini log now. So I can, top line is filter, bottom line is volume. So let's say I want to filter this percussion loop down. I can just do those from here. And then let's bring some, we can then start to fade back in. And bring those back in on the filter. Then bring the TR8 back in. And so on. Okay. So everything's going to stay. Let's wait for those clips to finish playing. They're on loop, so I have to stop those with that. Okay, so I've got all my little elements of my songs in here. Down this side, I've got just like little one-shot effects and stuff that I could throw in during the set at different points. Okay, so that pretty much covers all of that. The only other thing really I want to just mention, such as for this song, is the Electribe only has 4-bar sequences. So what I've done here is, because it's actually the mini log part and the System 1 part is a sequence over 8 bars. So I've chained together, so you can see that's Perception part 1 is on track 20, and then that chains together to track 21. So that gives me 8 bars, and then 21 chains back to 20. So that's just going to loop round. So that's a way of getting 8 bars. It takes up 2 tracks, but you can get 8 bars out of the Electribe. So let's just have a little bit of a jam with this, and I'll sort of show you what happens. So these kind of things. That's bringing the System 1 in. Then what I would do when I'm playing live is, fiddling with the filters and so on. You can drop drums out of here. Just going to turn that up a little bit. Yeah, let's bring the clap back in here in a sec. Okay, so a lot of the times, every time I play live, it's going to be slightly different, which is interesting for me. It's interesting for the audience. I'm not just recreating what I would play. How the CD was recorded. I just build it up and kind of make it up as I go along. So hopefully that's of interest. There's a bit of information on the live stuff there, as well as just the MIDI routing. There's going to be one more video in this series where I look at how I use the laptop to control all of this. But thanks for watching. Usual things. Got any questions, comments, please stick them in the box below. Please like and subscribe, all the usual stuff. I'll see you on the next one.